Hello, my name is Shelby Jansen. I'm the lead faculty for mathematics at Wichita Area Technical College, and in this video we're going to just do an overview of the PACER course, whether it's PACER 1, 2, or 3. We're going to look at some documents and some forms that you'll be using throughout the course, and we'll also get into Pearson a little bit and look and see how it is arranged. So let's start off in your Blackboard course. In your Blackboard course, this is just a home page of a course. You've got Read Me First, coursework, my mail, my grades, my attendance, my calendar, and Blackboard help. Where you're going to be spending a majority of your time is going to be in the coursework, and I imagine my mail if you need to email your instructor, grades so you can always see what your current grade is, and attendance. Your instructor may or may not use the my calendar, probably not, and home will take you right back to this page. So in the Read Me First, there is another video that talks about the syllabus that you've probably already watched, and if not, and you need to look at the syllabus for your course, this is an overview of a PACER syllabus. There's a PACER info flyer, which kind of just describes the course, which you probably already know a little bit about it, but the PACER info flyer would definitely give you a little bit more information, but that's also discussed in the syllabus video. What I want to look at right now is the PACER timeline. So if you're taking a 16-week course, this is the timeline for the course. Now, PACER is a self-accelerated or self-paced course, so you get to move through the material as quickly or slowly as you need to. There is a minimum requirement. You have to get through at least Module 7 if you're enrolled in PACER 1, and you have to get through Module 12 if you're enrolled in PACER 2, and if you're enrolled in PACER 3, then you need to get through Module 17. So those are the minimum requirements, but you could always move quicker than that and get more done than the current course. And at the end of this semester, you will receive credit for everything that you have completed. So if you are in PACER 1 right now, but you actually get all the way through Module 12, you'll receive credit for both PACER 1 and PACER 2. Now let's look at what the timeline looks like. It looks a little crazy and it's a little colorful, but the top row is always going to be your minimum requirement. So PACER 1 is required to get through at least Module 7. Of course, you may get through more. So you can see the weeks right above. And then above that, these little numbers, those are actually days. So if you want to look, more at not necessarily weeks, but the day of the semester, that's what these little numbers above are. So Module 0, if you start in Module 0, you're starting at the beginning, and then you're just looking at this top tier, then it does look like you're going to need to be finishing Module 1 end of week 3, beginning of week 4, and this is going to help you stay on pace. Now let's say your goal is to get through Module 12. Let's say you want to get through PACER 1 and PACER 2. If you look at this row right here, it ends in Module 12. So you'll look, in order to stay on pace to finish Module 12 by the end of the 16 weeks, you need to be taking your post-test at the beginning of week 3. So that's kind of how you read this timeline. The top row is always going to be the minimum requirement, and if you get a little bit ahead, then you can kind of see where you're going to end up. Keep in mind that most of the time you're not going to have the same number of days per module. Some modules have more lessons than others. For instance, Module 3 only has 4 lessons, but Module 1 I think has 8 or 9. So it just kind of depends on how many lessons in the module and what the content is and how well you do with the content and the curriculum and how many times you need to go through and repeat things. So it just kind of has a lot of variables there. The timeline is something that when you have your one-on-one meetings with your instructor will probably visit with you pretty regularly about where you're falling on the timeline, just so that you can keep pace, because we want you to be successful and reach the goal that you want to reach. So looking back at the Read Me First, there's a couple other things there that you can look at and your instructor can visit with you on, but I would definitely look at the PACER syllabus video if you haven't already done so, and obviously you're watching this video. So now let's go into the coursework tab. This is where you're going to spend a majority of your time, and this is where you can see all of the modules for all of the PACER courses. Now, if you happen to be enrolled in PACER 2 or PACER 3, then you're not going to see PACER 1 modules because you've already completed that. So let's just click into a module. Let's look at Module 2. integers. Every module is set up the same way. So what will you learn in Module 2? This is just going to kind of go over the different things that you will learn. The topic is integers, so adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, order of operations, and simplifying are the key things. The Module 2 checklist. Now there are paper copies of this, and if you're at Southside in the PACER lab, then over in the green crates you will see the checklist and what we call the Ready, Set, Go forms. We actually have them stapled together for you. So let's first look at the checklist. This walks you through everything you need to do in Module 2 from beginning to end, all of the tasks that you need to complete. So preview the learning objectives, we just did that. Complete the ready and set portions of the that should be Ready, Set, Go document, and I will show you that. Complete the following tasks in Pearson's My Math Lab for each topic. So for each topic there is a learn activity, a practice activity, and an assess activity. Once you do that for all of the lessons, then you'll be ready to complete the post-test. And then there's complete the after and my final lap portions of the Ready, Set, Go document with your instructor. So this part down here is probably what you'll be looking at most of the time. Module 2 has 6 lessons. For each lesson, again, there's 3 activities. There is your workbook activity, in which you're going to look at the tutorials online and work in your workbook, and this is how you're going to learn the material. After you've worked in the workbook and you have viewed the tutorial online, then you move into the practice phase, and so that's going to be your homework, and that's going to be in Pearson's My Math Lab. And finally, assess. There's going to be a little concept check at the end of every lesson, and it's going to be 3 or 4 questions, not very many, just kind of seeing how much you remember through that lesson. And then you'll repeat the process for each lesson. Now, if on your pretest you did really well in a particular lesson, let's say you didn't get the 85% to skip the module, let's say you got like a 70%, but it showed that you did really well in 2.1, your instructor may or may not tell you that you don't have to do the workbook. So you may look at that and ask your instructor, if you haven't had a chance to have that conversation, say, I did really well in 2.1 on the pretest, do I still need to do the workbook activity? The homework, what you'll notice in the homework, if you did really well on the pretest in that particular lesson, is that several of the problems will already be marked off for you. So maybe there were 15 problems to begin with, but you did so well in that area that only 5 remain. You only have to go in and do those 5. And then the concept check. You'll have to do the concept check for all of the lessons, regardless of how you did on the pretest. When you finish all of the lessons, there's going to be a Using Math to Save Money Topic 2. And then there's going to be a short video and some questions that follow. And then there's the Topic 2 practice test, which is optional the first time around. And then the post-test. And remember, on the post-test, you have to score a minimum of 75%. And if you don't, you will have to retake that. But first, you and your instructor will sit down and outline some activities that you can do to study and better prepare for the post-test the second time that you're getting ready to take it. So that's the checklist. The Ready, Set, Go form is kind of what you work on throughout the entire module. So the first thing that you're going to do is rank yourself in the anticipation reaction guide for the module. So here is everything that you're going to learn. So I understand integers. I can add integers. I can subtract integers. Where do you fall on the continuum of understanding integers? If you don't recall what an integer is, then you may put strongly disagree, because you may not remember what it is. But if you do remember what it is, then you might put, strongly agree. So just mark one of the X's in this continuum, kind of where you think you fall in that area. After you finish the module, you're going to come back and you're going to do the same thing over in this column, and you'll see the growth that you've made from before the module to after the module. After you do this, then you can do the pretest. Again, the pretest is optional, but it serves 2 purposes. It is not calculated into your grade, but if you happen to get an 85% or higher on the pretest, then you can skip the entire module and you don't have to do any of it. And you'll just go to the pretest of the next module. the other part, or the other thing that the pretest does for you, is it modifies and personalizes your homework problems for you. So if you only get a 70% on the pretest, that's great. That means you already know 70% of the module, which is not bad. That's actually very good. And it will personalize your homework. So when you start clicking into your homework assignments, you're going to see a lot of problems already green that have green check marks that you don't have to do. So that way you can focus all of your time and energy on the problems that you need help with. After the pretest, you'll record your score here, and then you're going to set some goals for yourself. So you're going to put a specific goal, and then you've got some sentence stems here that can kind of activate and give you an idea about what you want your goal to be or how you want to achieve that goal. So you're going to state your goal and then list some things that you're going to do during the module to help you achieve that goal. Goal planning is very important, especially later in life, and especially when you get into your career. Setting goals is always a very good thing to do, whether it's academically or personally. The next thing is just a log. Every day you're going to meet with your instructor and just talk about kind of what's going on, what did you work on that day, when are you going to be ready to test, those types of things. Your instructor will initial and give you any feedback or comments here. So this is just a log of your activity during the module. When you get through the module and you're ready to take your post-test, that's where you'll record your score here, and you'll take a moment to celebrate what you're most proud of once you finish that. If by chance you don't get the score that you need, then the last page of the Ready, Set, Go document will help you put together a plan for you to study and prepare for the exam the next time around, because you can't move forward until you do get at least the 75%. So the last page kind of just walks you through some things that you could do and some time for you to reflect on what you can do so that you can do better the next time you take the test. And your instructor will work on this with you. And then the last thing you're going to see in the coursework is your My Math Lab with Pearson eText course home. So this is where you're going to go and spend most of your time working on your assignments, viewing tutorials, and those types of things. So it says start here. You can start here. We were talking about Module 2. There's your list of objectives that you're going to learn. Click into your topic, and you'll see click through the interactive topic on any mobile device. This is going to take you to the tutorial. Now it's not going to match up completely with your workbook, but it's going to look very similar to your workbook. And you'll see introduction, presentation, check your understanding, and review. There is going to be some arrows up here at the top that you can use to navigate through the tutorial. Now sometimes there's going to be things that you can click on, sometimes there will be short videos, there will be pictures, there will be examples with solutions, all kinds of information here. Here's one where they've kind of gone through the solution step by step. Key terminology and vocabulary will also be included. Then you'll go to your homework assignment, and this is where you're going to see a list of everything in the module. These little flags mean you have to do something prior to starting that assignment. So this says you must do topic 2 pretest before starting this assignment. So you'll have to go and do that. Notice here I only have homework checked. If I do show all, it's going to pop up the pretest, all the homework, and then if I click on the next, I should see a practice test and post test at the bottom. And then finally the concept check. Now the concept check, it's going to take us right back to that same list that we were just at. So that's kind of an overview of what you're going to be seeing on the My Math Lab side. So we have all of these documents in place to help you guide you through the curriculum. That way you have a checklist of what you need to do for every module. So if ever at any time you're not sure what you should be working on, talk to your instructor, or if your instructor is not available, make sure you have that checklist, because they're probably going to ask you where's your checklist when you ask them a question, just so that you can get organized and you can be able to verbalize to your instructor exactly where you're at and what you're getting ready to work on.